Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Dimma. Today's video, I am going to be sharing with you guys some common skincare mistakes that we make. Some of these mistakes are mistakes that I was making as of last year, just very recently, and I'm someone who takes skincare seriously. I've been taking skincare seriously for years and years, but then the thing is we continuously learn because we don't even know that things that we did not think were harmful or we thought were okay, we don't know how much they affect the skin. And the minute I realized that I was making some of these mistakes, I was like, yeah, I have to do a video. I have to share my findings with you guys and tell you guys some of these things. So let's start. The first skincare mistake, and I realized that I was making this about 6 years ago, so it's not one of the more recent ones on this list, but I realized that I was making this one 6 years ago, and it is over exfoliating. I have acne prone skin. What that means is that I am prone to breakouts. So I have combination to oily skin. My skin produces oil, like I'm just oily, okay? And there was a time I had this very bad episode like with breakouts around that time 6-7 years ago, I would say, and I was trying different things, trying to figure out how to fix my skin and stop the breakouts. And at a point I encountered Perfective. If you're not familiar with Perfective, I don't know if things have changed so much, but at that time they had this system that had like a cleanser that had a lot of like beads, exfoliating, like great stones. What are those things called? It was basically a cleansing scrub, okay? It had like fine particles in it, these beads that would exfoliate. And prior to using that system, I had learned prior when I was doing research that, you should exfoliate just once a week, nothing more than once a week. At that time I was breaking out and there were all these very good reviews about Perfective. I was like, let me try this regardless. That was one of the biggest mistakes I made in my life. The system that I got had this exfoliating cleanser scrub thing. It was recommended that you use this daily, morning and night, to cleanse your skin. What that cleanser did to me at the time, I later learned, was that it just like opened up my pores and made my pores just a lot more open for everything to fall into it and clog it and then lead to breakouts. So I'm saying this from experience that products that actually over exfoliate, continuously exfoliates, like you use them like more than once a week, every day, 2 times a day, I would not recommend at all. Guys, you should not be using any type of like scrub, whether it's like packaged as a cleanser or not. You should not be using anything that has any type of beads or exfoliating particles in it more than once a week, I would say, from personal experience. I know that people who have acne prone skin, we tend to have like issues with texture, and I understand that there's a need to exfoliate, but anything more than once a week I think is too much, so I would not recommend. So if you're someone who is using that type of product more than once a week and you're still breaking out, maybe look at it a lot more closely and just consider dropping it from your regimen, because it could be the culprit. It could be the reason why your breakouts have also gotten worse. So yeah. Guys, everything that I'm going to be sharing with you guys here, I'm saying from personal experience. So next thing on my list, I would highly recommend for people with acne prone skin, and it is to make sure you use cold water every time you do anything, undergo any type of procedure, do any type of facial treatment that leaves your pores wide open. And I learned this the hard way as well. I thread my brows because that's my preferred way of getting hair off of my face. So I used to have this thing where every time I'll thread my brows, I'll start breaking out around my brows. And I did not know why. Like every single time I'll thread my brows like clockwork, I'll have like bumpy breakouts around that area. And I did not know that this was because threading kind of leaves your pores open, okay? What threading essentially does is that it pulls the hair off of your face from the roots. So that pore where the hair has left is open. The one thing that I highly recommend after threading and even waxing is to make sure you use cold water around that area. It could just be as simple as putting cold water on a cotton pad and just dabbing it on that area. And let me tell you guys, you're not going to break out in that area again, because what the cold water does is it essentially shrinks your pores, whereas hot water leaves your pores wide open. This is the reason why if people are doing like facials, they steam the face, and they do this before using like a mask or some sort of extractor. The reason why hot water is used or steam is used before any of these things is so that your pores open up. But the minute you're done with those treatments, be it like steaming, be it like anything you do pre-masking, just make sure that when you're done, and waxing and threading too, make sure that once you're done that you use cold water, splash cold water on your face, or just put cold water on a cotton pad and apply it all over, and this will just shrink your pores and ensure that you don't get a lot of like gunk into them so that you don't break out. So if you're struggling with breakouts after certain treatments on your face or just certain procedures, consider using cold water on your skin once you're done. You're going to see a difference, I believe. The next mistake that I'm about to share with you guys was one that I realized that I was making last year. For someone who has been taking skincare seriously for as long as I have, like, I was so shocked when I actually realized that this was the problem, or the cause of the problem that I was having. I tend to break out on my forehead, and I think that a while back, okay, maybe a couple of years ago, I realized that certain hairstyles were not necessarily the best. Like hairstyles that just like fringe, like any type of full fringe on my forehead was a no-no, because most of the time when I do them, I end up breaking out. They just start as like little bumpy things on your forehead. It doesn't matter how well like maintained the fringe is. It doesn't matter how often you clean it. My face just does not like it when I have like hair in that area over a long period of time. So I've always clocked that hair was an issue, or hair could be an issue. However, I did not know that, you know, the hair wraps, the satin hair wraps, not the type of satin that you would get like where bedding is sold, but then there's this type of stretchy satin like hair wrap that is sold in beauty supply stores. This type of satin fabric that I'm talking about, it can come as a bonnet, it could come as a head wrap, and then they also come as pillowcases sometimes. Guys, I would use these when I had certain hairstyles on, especially when I was trying to preserve them for a longer period of time. I would use these satin head wraps to tie my hair down, and just to make sure that they're extra secure, because most of the time, if I don't bring them all the way down and kind of leave them on the top of my head, I wake up most of the time and I see that they've slipped off my head. So to make sure that they're extra secure, I just kind of bring them just to my forehead a little bit and tie them down. Guys, let me tell you guys, this was the reason I was breaking out so much on my forehead. And it's so funny because most of the time when I realize that I'm breaking out, what I would do is I would stop using the wraps that I would use, and then I'll switch to like a satin pillowcase, because I get the pillowcases sometimes. That fabric is not just good for my face at all. Whenever I use it as a pillowcase, I end up breaking out more than I typically would. And I think that the fabric doesn't allow for air to just, I don't know what it does. The fabric is just not good. I think that not enough air is coming through. So using it as a pillowcase, using it as a head wrap, I just break out a lot. So if you're someone who is struggling with breakouts and you use like a satin pillowcase and you use a satin head wrap, especially the stretchy ones, consider just removing that from your overall routine or from whatever you do before you go to bed, and you see that your skin will actually get a lot better. That's what I realized. The minute I stopped using that to tie my hair down, I stopped breaking out on my forehead. And it's so annoying because when you get those little bumps, like they can last on the skin for months before they actually disappear. So yeah, if you're breaking out, look into this. This could be the reason why you're breaking out. This one goes without saying, but please stop picking your breakouts. I am very, very guilty of this, and I know that I should not be doing it, but sometimes you can see the bump and you're like, let me get rid of it. I'd rather have like a little dark spot than have a bump, especially when you have like a shoot or have to take pictures or do something where your skin has to look a certain way. I know that it's very, very tempting to just pick at it to extract whatever you have inside, but just know that the spots, they never clear as quickly as you think that they would. And then most importantly, you can actually damage the pore. And what happens is that pore becomes a pimple producing factory. There are some pores that I know now that I constantly break out from because of things that I did to them in the past or how I treated them in the past. So you don't want that. So to stop breaking out in certain parts of your face and to just stop breaking out in general, leave the breakouts alone. If they come, let them clear on their own. Don't try to get rid of them too quickly because you can actually damage the pore. So that's the fourth one. Okay, so the last thing that I want to say, especially to my girls with oily skin, is that cutting moisture out is never a good idea. I know that sometimes, especially considering our skin type, it might be a bit tricky, a bit difficult getting a moisturizer that works. And this could also be more difficult, let's say, if you've just realized that a moisturizer that you were using was breaking you out. I know that it's so easy to go like, oh, this moisturizer broke me out, so I'm done with moisturizers. Guys, when your skin feels like it's not getting enough moisture, it actually starts producing more oil than normal to kind of compensate for that, and that can actually lead to more breakouts for you. So guys, cutting moisture out completely is never the solution. Avoid moisturizers that are targeted at people with normal to dry skin. I also see people who use like body lotions or creams and lotions that they would typically use on their body, like Vaseline on their face. That is a no. You should not be using the same moisturizer that you use on your body. The skin that you have on your body is a lot thicker than the skin that you have on your face. You should not be using the same moisturizer that you use all over your body on your face. I don't think that that's a good idea. And I see people who have oily skin and then they have like normal to dry skin on their body, but then they're using the same moisturizer that they would typically use on their body, on their face. That is not a good idea, guys. It will most likely break you out because those type of lotions are targeted at normal to dry skin. So you should not be using that on your face. But then find lightweight moisturizers and try to find moisturizers that are specifically made for people with oily skin. Avoid like heavy oils or moisturizers that have heavy oils in them because they are ideally just targeted at people with normal to dry skin. You need moisture, you need moisture, you need moisture. I think that moisture is very important. I just realized that I forgot to say this when I was talking about over exfoliating, the first point. Guys, it could also be constantly using like skin brushes. You know, these spinning brushes like Clarisonic, those brushes, using them every day, morning and night. I don't think that it's a good idea. Even when the speed is at its the most gentle, I don't think that your skin needs that amount of exfoliation daily. So it's not just the scrubs, it's also like all these skin cleansing brushes. You don't need to use them too often because they're going to leave your pores wide open. Okay, I have two honorable mentions here because I feel like they kind of go without saying. But the first of the two is to please make sure you take off your makeup. Guys, your skin repairs itself at night when you're sleeping. And if it starts working and just comes here and sees a roadblock, aka makeup, while you're sleeping, it's not going to do the work and you're most likely going to end up with breakouts, more breakouts and breakouts. So please make sure that you take your makeup off because I feel like everybody should be doing this. If you're not, please consider doing it. It's going to help you so much with breakouts. And I love using cleansing balms. There's so many ways to take your makeup off, but I love using cleansing balms and I love washing my skin at night as well. So just make sure that you're taking off your makeup so that your skin is able to do what it's supposed to do. And then the last thing in my honorable mention is to please pay attention to your skin. If I was not paying attention to my skin, I would never have clocked the satin pillowcase issue or the satin head wrap issue. Guys, pay attention to your skin and just know that what works for someone with your skin type might not even work for you. We're all so different. So just be patient with your skin. Be patient and just pay close attention. Just take notes of what works and what doesn't work. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed and share, especially with people who you think will find it helpful. I love you guys and I'll see you in my next one.